Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about the digital transformation journey and the experiences we've had at Evonik, especially pertaining to scaling the digital transformation at an enterprise level. I look forward to sharing these experiences with you in the next few moments. So first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tracey. I'm the Director of Technology Deployment and Digitalization here in Evonik, based out of the North American region. I'm a chemical engineer by trade, and by no means am I a data scientist or data expert. Instead, my specialty is in change management and how to successfully integrate technology and methodologies into manufacturing and into the operations and the people in manufacturing. So this is really my focus and going forward with our discussion today about the strategy of how to digitalize an enterprise at scale. So a little bit about Evonik. We're a medium-sized specialty chemical companies, extraordinarily diverse. We have a wide portfolio of chemicals as well as people and locations around the world. So this is what creates some of our biggest challenge of how do we have or push forward a digitalization journey which fits and standardized across the organization. We're in a lot of different arenas. Our materials find themselves into all kinds of different products, but our manufacturing processes and plants are just as diverse as our products. This comes one from the technologies that we have to use, and the other from the way that the companies come together. So we do a lot of acquisition of other companies. So when we bring those operations into our network, we have to account for that when we start discussing about digitalization across an enterprise. So to illustrate that complexity, I show you here is the footprint across North America of all of our locations. Again, keeping in mind each of these dots here have their own technology, their own local culture, and also have their own individual level of maturity when it comes to digitalization. So the question is, how do we leverage the newest, greatest machine learning AI capabilities that are on the market across an enterprise that is so diverse? And this is our challenge moving forward. What we have here is some interesting information from Deloitte when they surveyed CEOs around the world about the most important advancements in manufacturing. And what they found is that predictive analytics and connectivity ranked number 1 and number 2 on that list. As this pertains to the Evonik strategy, what we've found is that we have to focus on this connection layer, right? We need to get to the point where we can identify and solve problems faster, not just in one particular place, but across the enterprise. So with this in mind, what we're doing is we're focusing our resources, not necessarily taking them away from AI and machine learning, but using their knowledge and understanding of the direction we need to go to help build this foundation layer of smart connectivity. Our main goal, we have to avoid one-offs. So what's typical is that we find that with AI or with machine learning, we do solve problems, but they're very hard to deploy to other locations across the company. So what we need is this data foundation. So when we find a good solution or build one internally, we have the capability to leverage this in other locations that may have a similar problem. Basically, it's not just the performance and capability of the new technologies that are on the market, but how fast can we leverage them? How fast can we take advantage of them in Evonik? So this is our strategy moving forward, focusing on this connectivity layer so that we have this consistent foundation where we can leverage things on a much larger scale. So this is an example that we use internally to kind of explain the situation and what it is we're trying to do. And it works well because I think a lot of people can understand this and relate to it. So if we look at our current IT, OT asset data infrastructure, think of it as a nest of electrical cords you see here in the picture. Again, I think everyone's seen one of these in real life, whether it's around Christmas or the holidays or celebrations where you have a lot of lights, right? So if you think about this, it's difficult to maintain. Um, every plug requires some effort to maintain this connectivity. If you try to plug in an additional set of lights, you have to account for it somehow. Or if one set goes out, you then have to play the game to figure out where that's connected and replace it. So solutions are also complicated to transfer because every location has a unique nest of connectivity. So this is a problem we realized we didn't really know we had it until we started to make these connections. So what it is we actually really need is a much larger standardized power strip, right? Uh, we know exactly where everything goes. You have a preset number of connectivity points. You know how to connect it. If we were to have one of these installed at every location, they're always the same. You ultimately would have plug and play convenience. So you could have homogeneous solutions that you could just slip into your network depending on which situation you're in. So this is our long-term objective. So we're aware of what we have, which is all of these different types of plugs, and we know what we need. We need them all connected in a uniform and organized fashion. So to go with this example a little bit farther, there's really two ways you can do this. One is the manual procedure. Basically cut all of these plugs off and rewire them. So this is an extraordinarily manual process, very time consuming, has a very high possibility for error, and you have to test each one of these connections individually to make sure the connections were done correctly. In addition, this requires a certain amount of skill, right? This requires an electrician to be able to do this. Well, all of us back before COVID did quite a bit of traveling, right? And everybody who's traveled internationally has solved this problem, right? And this is with a plug adapter. So ultimately, what we've all done is use a functional tool that was expertly designed for this plug and play functionality. In addition, if there was some malfunction or manufacturing error, the product would be recalled, right? So you have some guarantee that the design is sound. Another advantage is this requires minimal technical skills, right? We've all done it with little to no training. It's pretty simple to figure out. So again, this is a pretty simple example, but it is very pertinent to what we're doing in the digital transformation. Because you'll see that this is more or less a one-for-one comparison to what we have in our assets, or digital assets, and what we need, right? We have a lot of different plugs, a lot of different data in different sources, and what we need is to have all of this connected in a way that we can take advantage of all of that data. And what we were doing previously was a very manual process, flying our data scientists around the world and literally rewiring our connections. However, now we've found an expertly designed functional tool using machine learning techniques, which will make these connections for us. And it's proven to be quite successful and really helped us out a great deal when we start talking about speed of deployment and rollout, as well as resources when it comes to really deploying this on a large scale. The Element Unified Toolbox has really been useful to us in meeting our goals and objectives to integrate all of our legacy systems, as well as prepare ourselves for new machine learning tools that are either being developed internally or that we're researching on the market. This is possible because of the contextualization effects that all of our data is in a clean and format that is consistent among all of our operations. In addition, it gives us the ability to evergreen or govern our tools and our asset models, right? Quite typical in manufacturing. Not long after a drawing or a database is developed, it doesn't take long for it to fall out of accuracy, right? As more data is introduced into the manufacturing process, or the process itself changes, right? So there are tools available and through this system to help us stay on top of that and make sure that our asset model is accurate at all times. So this has really been the correct tool for us with the objective of reaching this data foundation layer as quickly as possible across a wide scope of the company. Okay, so we've developed our strategy and our objectives, and we've identified the correct tool to use. But the question still remains of, how are you going to implement your strategy? And what we've done is adapted the Agile or Scrum approach from the software industry, trying to modify this and have this operating in a chemical company. So finding basically new solutions to old problems and new ways of working with the intention of speed. Some advantages that we found, we were able to tackle some problems that we really did not know the solution to. But we were confident that we would find a way to meet our goals and to achieve our objectives. It's also a great way where you can maximize value and minimize risk. And this is because of the very rapid feedback loop, right? You're always in this continuous improvement mode of how can we do things better? How can we do things more quickly, more efficiently? So that's proven to be very successful in deploying our data layer. Some challenges we have is, you have to choose to use this methodology wisely. It's not very effective when you're in a situation where you know how to do something, you're just trying to speed it up on its own. There's other techniques for that. This is really for a situation where you're not sure every little obstacle you're going to come across, but you're confident to find ways around it. What's also great here is the team that you're able to use. So when you have the correct tool, you don't have to have quite the size team necessary or allocated to a project. Just the support team behind them, giving them the support that they need is key. So some of the exciting results that we've been able to achieve so far really stem from using the correct tool, starting off small, just moving fast, being prepared to fail often, but learning from that and improving continuously. And this is really just wholeheartedly taking on this Scrum Agile approach, right? But some of the positive things that we've seen, when we used to start or previously engage into a digitalization project, we would expect that 70 to 80% of this time necessary for the project would be allocated to connectivity issues, getting the correct access, getting all of the data in the right format. By approaching this problem on a much larger scale, we've really seen that now, we're able to approach digitalization projects and achieve them much faster at a much lower investment. And this is all because we're able to deploy our data layer, our connectivity layer at such a fast pace. So we're operating and deploying this at more than twice as fast as we were before, using a fraction of the resources. So this has very much been a step in the right direction for us. And ultimately what this does is it allows our data scientists and data experts to be exactly that. They can concentrate on being experts and looking for continuous improvement and value generating analysis. Another interesting benefit has been that this easier access, or let's say availability of data, clean contextualized data, allows access from multiple levels of organization. Ultimately, the plant personnel, when they have access to this data, they're able to do simple dashboards or analysis themselves, no longer needing to involve a data scientist because they were previously restricted by this connectivity problem. So this has now been freed up and more ideas flow freely from them because they're able to do investigations on their own. So this has definitely proven to be a great benefit. Another interesting aspect is we can much easier evaluate and run proof of concepts with innovation partner companies. So of course, there's a lot of movement and innovation in the digitalization marketplace, a lot of machine learning, AI tools, but these have to be tested and proven, right? So we now have a foundation which we can run these POCs, which is great. And in the end, our ultimate goal is to achieve sustainable value. And this increased connectivity and single point of truth for data has lent itself to a faster and more widespread deployments. We spoke earlier about one-offs. Right now, we are in a position where when we find a digital solution to a problem, we're in a position where we can scale this and deploy it across the company and generate much greater value. So this is the direction we're moving. We still have plenty of work to do, but we're very excited to see where the future takes us. So with that, I look forward to any questions that we have in the question round. Thank you for your time.